start with Sherrod.
Hey, Coach, how's it going?
Thanks, Rob.
Yeah, I wanted to just check in with you to just see how Kemba was the day after first, limited minutes action, and just how do you see him progressing going forward as far as limitations in the next game, practice, things like that?
He was great. We didn't practice. We just kind of walked through today, did a little skill work. So it wasn't a heavy practice, obviously, with a 3:30 game tomorrow. But he was great. He responded well, and he will incrementally increase his limit.
Question in person, Gary Washburn.
It looked like Jalen was getting some work on his back in the second quarter. You kind of held him out for a while, and then he went to the end. Was there an issue there?
The second quarter or third quarter?
Might have been third. I thought it was the second.
The reason he came out in third was the 5 fouls. If I was never told anything about his back, so I don't know if that was just something that was bothering him in the minute, but it doesn't sound like something to be concerned about.
Mark Murphy.
Hey, Brad. Jason is obviously dealing with this kind of coverage on a nightly basis now. How much learning does he still have to do about how people are going to cover him and how he can change against it?
Well, I mean, he's seen all these coverages before, so some nights are just not your night, Mark. Like he's an unreal basketball player. That doesn't mean that every day, the ball will go in at 60%. So at the end of the day, he'll watch, which he already has. He'll learn what he needs to do and try to do it better next time. But one of the things that I think all these guys that are great understand is, not every day is your day. Sometimes you have to be able to learn, laugh it off, and move on.
Abby Chin.
Yeah, along those lines, you talk about it a lot, but Jason's mental maturity, just how unique is he in that he is able to kind of block some of the stuff out and also bounce back from nights like that?
Well, I mean, it's like yesterday he had the ball a lot in the last 5 minutes of the game. Like, we think he'll always be able to do that. And he just has a special makeup about him. On a night where he's struggling, he can make a huge play. A night where he's rolling, he can make a huge play because he doesn't get too high or too low. Like he's special. And that's why, lose no sleep over nights like last night.
John Corrales.
Hey, Brad. So last night was Jason's turn to have a bad game. Someone else is inevitably going to have one. Is this situation in the bubble where there's no home to go home to, you can't fully get away, does that make it any harder for someone to, like you say, laugh it off?
I mean, that's a good question. I think we all have perspective here. We played really hard and really well against one of the best teams in the NBA. We just didn't play well enough. And so we have to play a little bit better. They had a guy or two missing. We had a guy on a minutes restriction. Jason didn't have the night that he normally has. That all plays a part in it. But at the end of the day, we had a chance. We came up short. We're going to move on. We're going to move on like we always do. Does it make it harder because of the circumstances we're all in? I don't know. Because I don't know that, I think one of the things that we have is reasonable perspective on everything that we need to do and what we need to do to be the best version of ourselves. So it's always hard to lose. Dinner always tastes better when you win. But at the end of the day, I think, we will move on. We will try to improve from it and go from there. I think that the group of people I'm always going to be most worried about here in the bubble, John, are probably the same group that I'm worried about when we're at home, the guys that don't play. We had a bunch of guys that had to be inactive last night because you only have 13 active spots that you're allowed to dress. I credit their spirit. They're in there working right now and playing 4-on-4 right now. And, I think that is why it's important on all of us to really invest in each other and make it about more than just, focusing on whatever result occurred.
David Chinaletto.
Hey, Coach, my question is about Jaylen Brown. Obviously, he had an enormous season this year. I'm wondering, what do you think made the change for him from last season to what he had before the hiatus?
Well, he got better. There was a lot more probably, just well-defined opportunities, I'd say, for all these guys, just because, last year we've talked about a lot. There were a lot of people that were playing in a role that wasn't as maybe big as the role that they've had previously there in their careers, and it didn't work. And then this year, I think that guys have pretty much settled into that. We have a clear-cut group of five that we really, lean on and rely on. And Jaylen is one of those guys, and Jaylen's had a great year. And I think that'll just continue. I think he'll continue to get better and better. But, I still think, as we all react to Jayson and Jaylen, it's still amazing how young they are and how much they've accomplished. But the one thing that they've never done, and we've tried to never do for them, is, make youth an excuse. They're accountable, and they'll work, and they'll get better.
Final question for Coach Abby Chin.
Brad, how nice has it been to have a guy like Brad Wanamaker, even though Kemba's dealing with the minutes restrictions and things? Has he shown you enough to earn more minutes, even with Kemba working on a full load?
Well, I think, Abby, I understand everybody's, and even when I call home, my kids are asking me who's all playing all the time and how much everybody's going to play. And there's only so many minutes to go around. And Brad's going to play a significant role for our team. Do I know the exact minutes he's going to play? No. But I know this, when Kemba's minutes restriction gets lifted, he's going to play a lot more. So, there's only so many minutes to go around. And but Brad understands that. Brad is a guy that's willing and ready to play 28 to 32 minutes on any given night, or 10 to 12, and that's a hard position to be in. I have a lot of respect for people that have to balance that appropriately. And at the same time, like I was saying, even when I call home, I'd love to get Romeo in. I'd love to get Grant in. I'd love to get Carson in. I'd love to get all these guys in. But, there's only so many minutes in a game. We've got a pretty deep team, especially at the wing.
All right. Thank you, Coach.
Thank you. Guys, enjoy. Yeah.
All right, everybody. We will be back at 1:45 tomorrow. So no shoot around, obviously. Coach pregame 1:45, and then normal postgame availability. Talk to you then.